It's a friendly.
We're back. Can you believe we're back? We're live.
Finally.
We're broadcasting on YouTube and also on Facebook tonight. We're the Libertarian Moms. I'm like, who are we again? And some people are probably wondering that because it's been a hella long time. And we're going to explain exactly why that is. And what we're going to talk to you about tonight is being a candidate. This is the Get in the Game episode of Parenting Porcupines. Welcome to the show. I wanted to call this Get in the Game. And at first, when I put my name up, it said not a candidate because you two gals are running for office. And we're going to jump into exactly what that means, knowing that my two pals are doing this. And I just am like, I'm worthy. I'm so excited for both of you. It's going to be a lot of fun over the next few months while we try to get y'all elected. But before that, where have you been? Bitches, where have you been? Where have we been? We went to the Libertarian National Convention. Jessica and I went to National Convention in Reno Memorial Day weekend. Came home with COVID.
We were going to broadcast for you guys some of the convention live. But
we like Thursday, our viewers, so we don't want to do that.
We would never put
on Thursday, Delta Airlines held me hostage in the airport in Charlotte, North Carolina. So
we didn't arrive the way we expected to, because
I didn't get there
Wednesday night, and then we would have had all day Thursday. We could have done a live broadcast Thursday night, but you didn't even get there till after midnight Thursday night. At which point your roommate might have been asleep and not let you in the room. So these things happen, right? Like there was everything from travel to party politics, to some things that were pretty disappointing that happened while we were there, to some other things that were absolutely hilarious that happened while we were there. I would say overall, in general, Memorial Day weekend was a little bit of a shit show, but it's cool because we came out of that with the gift that keeps on giving, which is COVID. And so I don't know if you're still coughing, but I'm still coughing.
Yeah.
And, So then we took a couple weeks off while we were healing from COVID, and Melissa's just been really patient with us. But like every Thursday, it's like, not tonight.
Hey, I'm just glad my husband didn't bring it home.
Right. That's right.
Amen.
He's the one person that didn't get it.
So here we are on Wednesday instead of a typical Thursday, because tomorrow night we're going to be doing, hopefully, a really good meeting with our friend and colleague, Spike Cohen, to talk about kicking off campaigns and being a candidate. And so that's what we're talking about tonight. So we come back from the national convention. We jump into state convention. We make Jessica Ethridge our candidate for lieutenant governor here in South Carolina. And in South Carolina, the governor and lieutenant governor run on a party ticket, a combined ticket. And so you are running with Morgan Bruce Reeves, who's a former NFL player and kind of a journeyman candidate. He's run a couple different times for a couple different offices. We think he's finally found a home here with the Libertarian Party. So we're excited to have Bruce Reeves on our ticket as our governor, our gubernatorial candidate, and Jessica backing him up as lieutenant governor on the campaign trail. But then also, of course, if and when the ticket wins, it is a breath of fresh air, I think, to South Carolina folks. So before we get to Melissa, because she's running for office too, I want to get from Jessica, what made you do it? What was the statement that pushed you over the edge? That like somebody goes, hey, you want to do this? I want you to tell this story because it's such a good one.
So we had I'm the secretary for our county affiliate, and part of my accomplishments in that role is I created a relationship with our Adopt a Highway program. And so we have a stretch of road in Greenville County that we clean up quarterly. Sometimes we have people who go out in between and clean up in between, but quarterly we go out and we clean up our stretch of road, interact with the community. It's like I said, very busy. There are a few neighborhoods. There's a shopping center with a grocery store. There's a gas station. So there are always lots of people buzzing around this area. So we had gone and done that. And then we went to get breakfast afterward and have our monthly business meeting, because we always try to do these things on the day of our monthly meeting, so that it all kind of falls together. So the few of us that came were sitting at breakfast, and Steve Dasbach had asked me, and for those of you who don't know Steve, which anybody who's been around the Libertarian Party for any amount of time knows who Steve Dasbach is, but in case you don't, he is a previous LNC chair. He was the chair some number of years ago. I don't even know how long ago, but he's always been very active. He's been state chair. He currently serves as our Greenville County chair. He works at the state level with campaign development and candidate recruitment. He was the campaign manager for Joe Jorgensen's campaign last cycle, the presidential campaign. He's amazing. He's like the dad of everybody. He knows everything. And he's always there to tell you anything you need to know. And he always has his thumb on the pulse. I love it. So anyway, so we were sitting at breakfast and we were eating. And Steve asked everybody, he said, because at this point, Bruce Morgan had been to several different county meetings. He had been trying to go around and meet everybody. And so he had come to Greenville. And I had also met him at one of the state meetings. And so he said, what were your opinions of Morgan? And I said, I really like him. I think he's a super nice guy. We had a lot of talk, a lot of discussion around issues and things like that and messaging. And I said, I think if we work with him and create this, solid messaging, I think he would be a stellar candidate. I think he would be amazing because he's truly this gentle soul, one of the kindest and most genuine people I've ever met in my life. Truly. Like I want to put him in my pocket and take him everywhere I go.
Well, you could put it this way. If everybody that you met was as genuine and caring and compassionate as this man, the world would be a much better place.
Much better.
Bottom line.
Yeah. So Steve said, I feel the same way. And, it would be really helpful if we could get a strong candidate to back him up as lieutenant governor. And he was like, do you know anybody who might want to do it? And I jokingly was like, sign me up, because just sign me up, right? Like, I'm already doing 100 things. And I said, sign me up. And his eyes lit up like Christmas trees. And I was like, oh, shit. I just did that.
Don't ever tell Steve you might do something, or you will absolutely be doing
You're going to do it. So he said, are you serious? I said, are you serious? And he said, if you're serious, I'm serious. And I was like, well, I need to think about this, and I need to talk to my husband. I need to talk to my kids, because I need to make sure they understand what this would look like and that they're on board, because this is going to be changing their lives, right, for the next 6 months. And so I talked to my husband, I talked to my kids, and they were all on board with it. They were super excited. And so I sent out a message to a few people and said, hey, this is what we're doing. And everybody just rallied around me. Kelsey Lyon, who is the graphic designer for our campaign, and she's amazing. She's done lots of campaigns.
She's our communications director.
Yeah, she was immediately on board. Her husband, Jason Lyon, with Muddied Waters Media, he's been on our show previously. He is helping with our policy, and he was immediately on board. Casey Crow, who is our state chair, he's also an IT director for our campaign. He's also county officer, or was. I think he still is. Is he still the chair for his county too?
He's still listed as it.
So, and Casey, of course, is our campaign manager.
Once again,
Casey.
Casey. Don't tell Steve you might do something, and you'll absolutely end up doing it. So yes,
man can't take a joke now.
Lucky enough to be invited to be part of it, and told by Steve that we would be fully supported by him and all that experience. And knowing that we also have Victor Keller, who's in our state party and is also a veteran of these kinds of things, he's going to be very helpful for us as well. And our treasurer for our campaign team is Melissa. She doesn't have enough to do, so. Thank you, Melissa, for volunteering to be part of the campaign team. Congratulations again, Jessica. But Melissa's also running your own campaign. This is not your first. No. So I want you to talk first. Tell us about school board, getting into the school board race. What made you decide to do that? And then the second piece of it is this isn't the first place you've gone. And so talk about some of that when you first came to your family and said, I think I'd like to run for office. This time it probably was like, yeah, right. We get it, Mom. It's fine. It's fine. But like the first time might have been like, wait, you're going to what?
So no, my husband, absolutely. The first time I ran for office, it was for State House. And it basically was that's what was up for election that year. And my opponent was running unopposed. There was one person running. So that's the dumbest thing in the world to me. I will put my name on there just to give people an option,
Right.
because it blows my mind that people run unopposed ever.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, I told my husband I wanted to run for office, and that one entails going to Columbia for like 4 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And he said, sure, as long as you don't win. Because we have 3 little kids. There's no, what are we going to do if I win? I'm like, it's a long shot. So
on the first campaign.
On the first campaign for
Yeah.
State House. Yeah, just jump in. Why not? I mean, we did pretty good. I don't recall exactly what it was, but
I can't
it was
deny that would have been
respectable.
my husband's response too. It would have been like,
Yeah,
that's fine.
as long as you don't have to go to Columbia 4 days a week for 3 months.
Well, and I live in
With
Columbia, but
a
his response would have
2-year-old.
been like, where's the money? Like, how are you going to be making the money in the family if you're not working? So yeah, that would have been the big piece of that. But now it's for school board. So what made you decide school board was your new jam?
Well, I have 3 school-age children. They all go to magnet schools, or what's the other word? Not magnet schools. Charter schools.
Charter schools.
Yeah, magnets or charters, because the school we're zoned for is horrific. And it annoys me that I can't send my children to our neighborhood school. And being a libertarian, I think the government should let schools run. Let schools, no one knows what the school needs better than the teacher and the principal in that school. Right. And especially in Charleston County, we've got Mount Pleasant that has, per pupil spending is through the roof, because that's the more affluent end of town. And then we have my schools that my kids would go to that get the short end of the stick, because we're the less affluent part of town. And the schools in their district and the schools in our district need different things. We have different problems. You can't put a one size fits all. And especially after COVID and everything, parents want more say, teachers want more say. And I don't understand why we make our teachers go to school for master's degrees and then don't let them teach. Here you go. Here's a workbook and the answers. Teach them this. I could do that with like very little training. Why do we make them learn how to teach if we're not going to let them teach?
And they're so burdened with so many other requirements of things they have to do too, in terms of classroom management
and the testing. Standardized testing, which doesn't.
The benchmarking, yeah. And Jessica, you mentioned when we were talking about education as part of that gubernatorial platform, you were talking about the challenges of getting needs met for individual kids, right? So there's such a systemized process for bringing kids through to get what they need. So exactly to Melissa's point, the teacher knows what needs to happen in the classroom. The principal knows how to operate the ship, right? How to run the ship. So why are these outside forces, these state level forces, trying to create some kind of standard rules and procedures that people are shoved into being able to do? So Jessica, talk a little bit to that.
Yeah, so one of my kids has some special needs, and we knew that in kindergarten. We started talking about the process for accommodations at that point, but his first grade teacher said, you know what, I will work with him. I'll give him what he needs. Don't worry with that, which is how it should be, right? Mm-hmm. If he needs a certain spot in the classroom to do his work, if he needs certain stuff to take a test, like, we'll figure it out, but we don't need to do a plan right now. That's silly, And then second grade was good. I'm trying to remember the timeline on this. Second grade was good. His teacher was wonderful. It was the same kind of thing. And that was the COVID year too. So it was really weird anyway. But then third grade, we had a very difficult year because the teacher that he had was a bit more, I don't know what the word is, because I don't really want to criticize her, because I think that for a lot of students, she's probably a really good teacher. But for my son, she was really not a good teacher. And so I'm just going to leave it at that. But that's when we started the process of having these accommodations, because without that, specific plan in place, we could not ensure that he was going to get what he needed to be successful in the classroom. And it literally took that whole school year to develop a plan so that my son would have the following accommodations: preferential seating, which means that he can sit in whatever spot the teacher thinks is best for him to work without
being disruptive.
Yeah, or without distraction. Sorry.
Right.
I'm struggling today.
Okay.
It's been a long couple of days. But and for him to be able, when they're taking tests that are written, for him to be able to type them on the computer, and for him to be able to have additional resources for math. So when he does math, he goes to the resource teacher who gives him more individualized instruction. And so those are all things that, like, when I was growing up, teachers just did. Yeah. If a kid needed it, teachers just did it. It seems like a really simple thing.
You didn't have to pay a specialist whose job it was to come in and evaluate every kid and put in certain
We had
paperwork and
to,
approve this and that.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
we had to get a diagnosis from a therapist, and then school therapist had to observe him. Like, then the resource person had to observe him. He had to work with the guidance counselor. We had to work with the vice principal and the teacher.
Yeah.
And it was just
because
like,
it's interesting because it's like nobody's judgment is being trusted, right? Like nobody's judgment is trusted. So, okay, so that's not where we're at, right? Like what we are from a libertarian perspective, and both of you guys on the governance side, as you're running for office, the tagline we've been using has been trust people. Right? Trust people, trust them to do their jobs, the things, to Melissa's point, what they've been hired to do. Trust that people are going to make the right decision for the students in their classroom. To Jessica's point about getting this kid accommodations, like it shouldn't be that hard for people to be able to do the things we're supposed to be able to trust them to do. Let's trust people to do the work. All right, so here you are, both of you now running for office on the Libertarian Party ticket. Congratulations. Excited for you. Excited to be part of your campaigns and be promoting you and out there sharing your wonderfulness with the world. So I just want I want to hit on a couple of these little things. The first thing is that we think of elections as being voluntary service to your community, right? Our idea of these elections, this is not an on-ramp to international stardom and riches. It's not, right? No. This is public service. This is you.
Not everyone's Nancy Pelosi.
And Bill Clinton. Shouldn't be that way, right? Like it should not be like that. It should not be the on-ramp to
you should not leave office and more wealthy than you got there.
It's not. That's not how it's meant to be. And so the perspective that we have in the in South Carolina Libertarian Party, at least, is that you're going to come in here, you're going to do the work that you feel that you're qualified to do, that you've been elected to do. And so when you looked at the position of Lieutenant Governor, Jessica, what was it about this Lieutenant Governor position, other than supporting Bruce Reeves, who is our gubernatorial candidate? What was it about this position that made you think like, yeah, I got this? Like, I think this is within my wheelhouse. These are the things that I'm absolutely, equipped and qualified to do.
So the position of Lieutenant Governor in South Carolina is mostly ceremonial. The Lieutenant Governor steps in if the governor is unable to operate in that capacity. But primarily the function is to oversee the South Carolina Department on Aging, which is a governmental agency that provides services to the elderly to be able to stay in their homes and live a fruitful life into their, elder years. I think Hellcat made an appearance on one of our episodes. Background. But for those of you who don't know, my 80-year-old grandmother, my father, my two uncles and I, and my aunts and my brother, we all helped take care of her. My grandfather passed away last year, and she is not able to take care of herself solely. So we all as a family kind of chip in. My dad and his brothers do the lion's share. of it, but we make sure that she has what she needs, that she has care. We stay with her overnight. We have a day nurse that comes and stays with her during the day and just helps with household things, make sure she doesn't, wander off or hurt herself. Because she will wander, and she's really mean about it too sometimes. That's why we call her the Hellcat, but I digress.
But then
Where I
she
get
has
it from.
personal experience with helping
But
your
yes,
elderly relatives.
yeah.
In other
And
countries, the way it goes, right, is that families rally around their elderly relatives.
But, and some of the challenges with finding care and providing care, it can be very difficult because of all of the regulations that surround the healthcare market, even though it's not really much of a market, the industry.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, I also have been an operations manager in my current position. So I have a lot of experience with managing operations, doing corporate budgets. I've worked in corporate compliance and licensing. I've worked with HR in legal capacity. And so I have a lot of different experience that affords itself to being beneficial in the oversight of an organization like that. And it's something I'm really good at. I take a lot of pride in being really good at my job. And so I think that professional experience combined with that personal experience, the experience that we've had with my grandmother, I think it does make me uniquely qualified for that specific responsibility in that position. And so that was when I was deciding whether or not I wanted to take it on. Of course, I did research what the job was.
Yeah.
And when I saw that was the primary role of the lieutenant governor, I was like, dude, that's my jam. Like, I will rock that. So.
Well, and a lot of it is taking the messaging from the governor's position, right? Here's what the governor wants to do. Here's what the administration is trying to do. And taking that messaging to all these different civic organizations, to the different, like you mentioned, the ceremonial opportunities. I mean,
local leaders, community leaders.
The governor out there talking about, here's why this is important. Here's why this event that I'm at, this conference, is important. Here's why this summit is important. Here's why we're having these conversations, right? And so while it has that ceremonial tinge to it, it's also a matter of leading those discussions with those policy and platform positions in mind. So I think you're going to rock that role. I think it's going to be amazing.
I'm excited. I hope the people of South Carolina will trust us enough to let us show them what we can do, because I really think, and I'm not just saying this because my name's on the ticket, but I do think that we can make some serious progress here that we haven't seen before. So
I think so too. I think if we bring our messaging around community and collaboration and compassion, I think we're going to be in really good shape. Melissa, what do you think in terms of taking your ideas about real issues that are facing the voters in your area that are looking at school board candidates, bringing those real issues forward, and then being focused on those issues and being able to bring to those conversations that libertarian perspective? We talk a little bit about that as far as being on message, being on point with those voters and what they care about.
Yeah, I think especially thanks to COVID, a lot of parents are fed up with the government and the bureaucracy and telling them how they're supposed to educate their children. During the pandemic, when they shut down all the schools, I was lucky. I was home during the day anyways. I could take charge of my children's education. A lot of parents don't have that option. They both have to work during the day, or you're a single parent who has to work during the day. What are you going to do with your first grader?
Right.
So parents bonded together and did the natural thing, which was make pods and study groups. And the government came in and said, oh, no, you're not authorized. You're not, you don't have a education for this. You don't have a permit for this. You can't bond together to teach your community of children, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
That if the parents are happy with the education being received, who cares what the government thinks? Why is this any of their business? If I'm happy with my child's education,
yeah.
end of sentence.
I think we were on we had this on one of our previous episodes where we were talking about the pods and the DHEC coming down and saying that there needed to be health inspections. And you were like, other people's kids are at my house every day.
Yep.
Like, you don't really have to have a DHEC level inspection for those people's kids. It's the same kids.
We'll call it a play date and everything's fine.
It was the same kids that came over to play. Yeah. And the idea of just get government out of the way. Trust people to make these choices. Trust people to make these decisions. Get government out of the way. They are an impediment to a cooperative society. Government is the impediment. It is no longer a helpful resource like it was intended to be. Instead, it is invasive, and it is the impediment. It's keeping us from being able to do what we need to do to care for our families and for ourselves. I'm so excited for both of you. I'm so proud of both of you. I'm so jealous of both of you, and I'm going to learn so much from you over the next few months. I don't know what our Parenting Porcupine schedule is going to look like over the next few months, but we definitely will have some more episodes related to our campaign issues and certainly in helping the two of you build your audience. And, of course, there'll be wine and vodka.
All right. Hey, I want to say something to people watching out there. I'm just going to put out a general announcement because I did this yesterday for our Slack channel. Our filing deadline in South Carolina is August 15th. In my county alone, we have 6 positions, a total of 13 seats at the county level that have 0 people running for them so far.
Wow.
There are 13 different positions that we've got, constituent school board districts. We have 3 people running for 4 seats. So we don't even have enough people running to fill the need. So if you want to get involved, I am sure your county has nonpartisan county level seats with absolutely no running for them. So do it. Even if it's, soil and water conservation district. What is that? I don't know, but it's a chance to campaign and get what it's like and go through the process once or twice and get your name out there for if you want to run for something else.
You're exactly right.
That's my little spiel.
Can't take the government back for the people if the people aren't out there getting in the game, right?
Yep.
And so we absolutely need that. We need more and more people. We need people, whether you think you're qualified or not, man. We got to know there are people that are serving in office right now that are not qualified at all.
I learned on Saturday there is absolutely no qualifications for coroner. I kind of thought you needed to know something, be some sort of medical.
I would have thought that too.
Nope, you have to live in the county. That's the only qualification for coroner.
It's an administrative position more than anything. Yeah. All right. So be thinking about that. Get in the game.
There you go. Run for coroner.
Help your communities. Jessica.
I have one more thing. Because I think a lot of people in our audience might be interested in this, this opportunity. The weekend of August the 20th, I think it's the 19th through the 21st in Columbus, Ohio, Americans for Prosperity is holding a criminal justice reform summit. It's going to be an incredible event. There are going to be tons of activists. There are going to be some legislators there. I think the ACLU and NAACP are going to have representatives, but it's all going to be centered around discussions about criminal justice reform and the things that we need to do better, right? So that's going to be a really great event, and it's free. It's free. So if you can get to Columbus,
Ohio.
if you can get to Columbus, Ohio, it's a free event. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Good stuff. Yeah. All right, we're out here making it work, doing the thing, and at least the two of you absolutely are. So thank you for getting in the game, and we'll be back sometime soon with another Parenting Porcupines episode. We are the Libertarian Moms.